your presence and how you can build a community within your online course. And it's going to be a little bit different than like a tools training workshop today. It's going to be more about spawning some thinking about how you might do these types of things in your course. Obviously, because of COVID, a lot of students who didn't plan to be in an online course and are missing out on that community presence of being on campus and interacting with other students and their professors. This is a really important piece that we should focus on moving forward through the next couple months of making sure that we're online or safely distanced. So most of what I've put in here today is basically hinged on how instructor presence and student presence can work together to build a community of inquiry so that students can go to each other and learn from each other, learn from the professor. It's basically a way that everything works together. It's a learning community. And I've provided some information on that in the resource sheet. And this essentially is what the community of inquiry framework is. Obviously, your teaching presence and student social presence, they overlap here and they really enhance because, learning is a social thing. They enhance the learning of your students. So what can you do to support the instructor presence aspect of building this community? So one of the most important things that I feel you can do is to put yourself out there. Let them know who you are as a person. Let them know who you are as a professor, what your interests in studying were when you were in school. And to do that, you can include a welcome video and include a short bio of yourself. A lot of students will, again, they're missing that face-to-face interaction with you. So this is very helpful for them to get to know who you are and your expectations. Another thing that you can do would be to use announcements within your course. When you are in Nomia and recording your lectures, make sure that you have your picture-in-picture on so they can see your face and see your nonverbals as you're presenting the information. Another important thing to develop instructor presence is to have laid out your communication strategy for the semester. How many times a week do you feel that you should post an announcement? What is your communication going to be as far as feedback on assignments go? What's that timeline or that turnaround going to look like? And really communicate that to your students so they know what to expect from you as their instructor. Online office hours are great. You can schedule them in Zoom for a couple of times a week. Additionally, you could even make them more targeted to certain students so that they can, you say, once a month, I need to speak to you privately. And not necessarily have it be public office hours, but have it be just a consultation between you and your students online. And then finally, discussion forums. A lot of courses have discussion forums where students add information or ideas or share their thoughts. But I think one of the things that an instructor can do to really immerse themselves in this community of inquiry is to participate as well in these discussion forums. Not necessarily with answers, maybe more with guided questions or reflection topics that might prompt students to go a little bit deeper into that information. So we're not going to answer this right now. We're going to save this for the end, but I just want you to think about what have you tried already in your courses to promote instructor presence. And we'll go over that at the end. I have a little discussion section at the end, okay? So there are three dimensions according to Larry Reagan, who is instructional design and development for Penn State World Campus. Your persona, which, your welcome video is going to cover that. Your social, which might be, jumping into the water cooler discussion that you set up for the students and kind of interacting with them in a more casual way, not too casual, but definitely, taking the instructional hat off for a moment and just being a real person with them. And then of course there is that instructional presence where you're providing good feedback, you're shaping the course or structuring the course in a way that everybody is present. So how can you do this in Canvas? So the first thing I would recommend would have a welcome module at the top of your course. This could include that bio and welcome video. You could even do a course information video that kind of gives an overview of what the course will be about. Try to make it as broad as possible, and don't include dates, because then you might want to use it over and over again each semester. Have a page that's basically a welcome letter saying, I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. And then in that welcome module, also having an icebreaker discussion so that students can meet each other. They can meet you. This can come in as something as simple as, please introduce yourself and tell us 3 things you're interested in. Or it could be, please make a video that explains why you're interested in taking this course. This will get students to students interacting and seeing each other in a way that they could possibly see each other if they were on site face to face. Another thing that I would recommend is
we can't hear you. There's something wrong with the mic because we can't hear you.
How about now?
Okay, now we can. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you haven't heard any of it?
No, we heard it. We just lost you a few seconds ago.
Okay, my apologies, everybody. This is not starting out well. So did you hear this part?
Yes, we did. We did.
Awesome. Okay, how about this part?
Yes.
This is where you lost me?
Towards the end of this part. So I think we stopped at advanced organizers.
Thank you. So let's just kind of review what an advanced organizer might be. An advanced organizer would be something that you would include in each of your modules, whether you are separating them by unit or by week, that would just give students an idea of what the objectives are for that module, what their tasks are going to be, and what their readings will be. That will give them a really nice snapshot of their focus for the week. And it also, again, puts you out there and saying, here's how I'm here to support you as an instructor. Another thing we could do would be to record your lectures with the Nomio plugin, which Karen was just mentioning earlier as in the informal discussion before. Having your lectures recorded in short bites that are digestible for students. So if it's a 40-minute lecture, maybe cutting it down into 4 10-minute sections of your lecture. So that your students can interact with that and digest everything in a way that isn't going to overload them cognitively. Another thing you can do in Canvas would be to have synchronous meetings, which I think a lot of you are already doing, and office hours using the Zoom plugin within Canvas, using the discussion tool. And then this one's pretty fun. In your lecture videos, to encourage engagement or to encourage participation in watching them in their entirety, have some video Easter eggs in there, something that they have to look for and then submit to you, perhaps mentioned within that video. Any questions about this so far? Okay. So now student presence. What have you tried for student presence? Again, we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but let's think about how you can get students to be active student to student and student to instructor. So what you can do, again, provide icebreaker activities, maybe 1 or 2 different types of activities that students can participate in. Having a pinned discussion that is a water cooler discussion so that students could have some of those more informal conversations that they might have walking to class or before class in a face-to-face situation. Obviously, you'd want to moderate that, especially, you would just want to moderate it so that somebody doesn't put anything up there that might be inappropriate. But having that pinned to the top, so, at the end of class, or at the end of a synchronous meeting, they can go in and have somewhere to really discuss some of the information with each other. Group projects and group discussions. Using groups in Canvas I recommend it, because what it does is it brings students together to work together in that student to student presence forum. And then providing content related discussion forums within the discussion index, promoting media submissions. So maybe have a project or two where students are going to submit themselves, recording themselves or recording a PowerPoint with their voice that kind of helps others get to know who they are and hear their voice. Provide a predictable structure. What this will do is it will remove some of that cognitive load of, okay, what different is going to happen this week in the course. So if you have a predictable structure and you have your, advanced organizer, and every week you have a discussion and every week there's a reflection paper, just having something that students can predict is going to happen will alleviate some of the stress of, oh no, and it will open them up so they can have a little bit more conversation with you and other students. And then there's a really neat feature in Canvas called the Add to Student To Do in assignments and such. You can click a little box, and what that does is it puts it on the students' to-do lists. And again, there are, 3 dimensions to student presence and engagement in the course: their persona, just like yours, their social presence, just like yours, and then cognitive presence. So making sure that they are engaged cognitively with the information. And here again are some things that can happen in Canvas. So you've got your icebreaker activities, meet your classmates, recorded responses. It could be even a video, audio, or text. I worked with an art professor once who wanted students to go find a piece that inspires them and post it and explain why that inspires them so much to be in that program. So it could be something related to your content as well. Synchronous meetings in Zoom, like we had said before, for instructor presence. And then this right here, the Zoom breakout activities, I think this is one of the most important things that you can do in Zoom for students to be interacting with each other, is use the breakout rooms. Provide a pointed question that they would go work in their breakout room for 20 minutes and then come back and report to the rest of the class. It's a good way to get them working together and getting to know each other. Providing opportunities for peer review. So you can use peer review in assignments for submissions, and you can also use peer review in discussions. And then this one might not seem like a natural one, but sharing college-wide events and news just kind of brings them back to the campus a little bit. So, there's going to be a talk on this. And if you share an announcement with the students, it does bring them back into the larger community of St. Rose as a whole and not just the class. So this is where we could probably stop the recording. Okay. And now let's have a discussion about what you've tried or questions that you might have.
So one thing that I've tried is around midterms, I do what's called a 7-minute meeting with each student. So they all